experience. The test will come off too.
Fantastic. Displaying smiles up hockey. He's a fantastic performance.
Hello, kia ora, namaste, maluelele, bulavanaka, talo falava, and welcome to the 2022 New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament, coming to you live from the beautiful Colmar Sports Centre in Papatoetoe, Auckland. I am Brad Pittman, and we'll be with you for all the action over what is going to be a very exciting weekend of hockey. For those of you new to Heritage Hockey, this tournament is now in its second year and is a high-performance tournament running all Easter weekend, celebrating the competition and culmination of the New Zealand Maoris, New Zealand Indian and New Zealand Pasifika cultures. This year, these three teams will be joined by the newly formed New Zealand Heritage Barbarians. After huge success in 2021 and more players becoming involved in their cultural teams, this year's tournament is shaping up to be even better. It's the second game of the tournament here between the New Zealand Pasifika women and last year's champions, the New Zealand Maori Wahine team. Both teams will want to get their weekends off to a good start with a first up win. The key here will be keeping possession, playing efficient hockey, especially in the heat as the day goes on. And as we saw in the first game, final touch and putting goals away will put a team ahead in their first games out this weekend. I'm joined in commentary today by Tama Jones from Hockey New Zealand, who has been around hockey for a number of years and to a very high level. Tama, it's great to have you here and thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your experience and your involvement in this tournament and in hockey.
Yeah, kia ora Brad, and kia ora everyone out there watching online. I guess I have been involved for a fair period of time. Certainly more on the community sport than the high performance level. I've been fortunate to sort of play through and make a few teams here and there and play in a few tournaments and a few other things. So yeah, just really happy and excited to be here with what this tournament represents. Massive part of New Zealand and the culture and diversity is a big part of it. So from that point of view, we're pretty excited and privileged to sort of sit alongside you and be part of this.
Yeah, awesome. It's great to see, especially with the inclusion of the Heritage Barbarian side, not only Indians, Maoris and the Pasifika sides, but we've got players here representing Japan, Argentina, South Africa, Malaysia, as well as all the cultures and communities that we had present at last year's tournament. Now, as the teams just head in for their final preparations here and we check out team lists for today's game. Like I said, it is the second game between the Māori women and the Pasifika women. We check out the Māori women's side first. Like I said, returning champions. They will bring a lot of players back from last year's team, which is exciting. Look for players like Grayson Keys-Kumiroa, who plays around the back, Captain Oriwa Hepi, Marika Thomas, and they will be buoyed this year by the return of Jazz McQuinn, who played a number of years for the New Zealand Black Sticks women's side. They've got a big squad, so there'll be different players in and out each game, which will be exciting. They'll be able to bring fresh legs in, but it is a strong team that they've named again, and they will be coached by Tina Valkake, a New Zealand hockey legend in herself. It's a strong team. It's a physical team. They've got speed and strength across the park, which is exciting. I'd hope for them to start well. Like I said, last year's champions. Tama, you will have seen a few of these girls running around, and some names that you're familiar with.
Yeah, certainly, athleticism sort of jumps to mind, and certainly flair and creativity. So certainly looking forward to, as the team start to settle into their business today, we'll see some of that emerge and using that flair and creativity based on a bit of structure. So yeah, it'll be exciting. Can't wait to see it at start and kick off.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we see the Pasifika women just going through their final talk as a team, they were awesome last year. Obviously buoyed by the likes of Lulu Tuilotolava, who has been recalled into the Black Sticks women's top squad for this year, which is fantastic. She's joined by some very, very experienced local club prem players and the likes of sisters, the Val sisters, Tori and Kayla, Carissa Makia, who has also played games for the New Zealand Maori team, Tiana Curry, who played in the New Zealand Maori women's team last year and is playing for Pasifika this year, and a couple of younger players who stood out in Marika Magoon and Kaya Elliott from last year's team. It was a big moment for them putting this together as their first tournament and games last year. They're coached again by Paul Magoon, and will be looking to surprise the New Zealand Maori Wahine team and defending champions. Another player of note out there for the Pasifika women's side that we saw warming up is former Black Stick Rhiannon Holditch, who is back playing at a very high level, so it'll be exciting to see the way she links up with some of those senior players in her side for today's game. And we are under the officiating of Sarah Cox and Carlette Human. I'm sure they'll be fantastic out there today. It is game 2 of the New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament between the New Zealand Pasifika women and the New Zealand Maori Wahine team. Tama, what are you looking forward to in this clash?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned earlier, Brad, I think just both teams' first game up for them, settling in, just finding their rhythm. It'll be interesting to sort of see the different styles and what they are looking to sort of achieve as they build into the game. Just a quick note, really, the Pasifika team really is good to see them obviously going strength to strength, and certainly even that's off the field. We know that the New Zealand Pasifika organisation are also getting some things in place as well, which is obviously a big help to getting the teams on the pitch. So, just a big shout out to everyone involved there and doing what they do and the hours and volunteering.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's been years in the making, and certainly for some of the people involved behind the scenes in putting this together, and it's finally fruits of their labour that we get to see out on the turf. And like I said, last year was huge for that community, and we saw so many of our Pasifika community come and enjoy the hockey here at Papatoetoe Komar Sports Centre here. And as the crowd builds again this morning, that looks to be continued, which is awesome. Yeah, experiencing high-level hockey in our local communities, especially those newer to hockey, like the Pasifika community. Like you mentioned, guys, they're doing a lot of work and hard work over a number of years to get this to where it is now.
Yeah, I think in one of your interviews leading into this, Brad, there was a mention of the decrease in guest players. So I think that's a real good demonstration of sort of the progress that's being made, and I look forward to sort of seeing where that heads in the next few years as well as we get ready for head-off.
Yep. So the team's set up here. It will be the New Zealand Maori Wahine team with first use of the ball through captain Oriwa Hepi. She's played the ball back into their midfield. It will be the Maori team in the black and the Pasifika women in the white and blue for this match here. As we saw in the earlier game, frantic start often. First game, they want to make things happen. It'll often be the little touch or the bits and pieces in front of goal that will go awry for the first 15 odd minutes. But both teams will want to set some pretty high standards early. I know both coaches are very firm in what they expect and what they want. Both coaches that have coached them and played to a very high level, so there'll be some pretty strong messaging here for both teams, as we do see that's Grayson Keys Kumiroa with the ball for the Māori Wahine team. Just looking at the challenge of Tuilotolava, and that's comes away there for the Pasifika women's side.
Yeah, we see the Pasifika team here just sort of controlling the ball here, getting possession, just easing into the game, just getting good touches on the ball.
Yeah, it's important in early stages in a game, like you say, just to get touch on the ball, get a good trap pass, find out where your teammates are likely to be or wanting to get the ball, and playing periods of possession in the right area of the field just gives you a little bit of confidence to start trying a few extra things. Both teams will be wanting to get that under their belt first.
Yeah, I like the early ball speed by the New Zealand Māori team here. They're getting some good sort of contact on it.
It's a good solid overhead out of the back there, I think by Goodsell Matthews, Tyler Goodsell Matthews there. Doesn't quite link up with her player, and that's Karasamakia just controlling the midfield for the Pasifika women's side. Nice little turn of skill there. Unfortunately doesn't get much further than the second defender. But this Pasifika women's side, good to get numbers around the ball. The second transfer there from the Māori team just sets up a nice little shaped attack, but not any further than Lulu Toilo Talava. It will be Ruby Jane Meehan there with ball into the midfield. That's well worked out there for the Pasifika team. Nice enterprising ball forward there. Well weighted. It's a 3-on-2 if they can make it work.
Got a collision in it. That's the call.
Will be enough to win the free hit. Fortunately not quite inside the circle. It's a lovely forward pass there for the Pasifika team. Good physical contest there between a couple of players. Probably not the last time we'll see that in today's game. That is Jazz McQuinn over the ball.
You would see the New Zealand Maori Waihinea there just stretching the game a little bit, having quite a high striker there, just trying to open some space up, some passing lanes. Not quite connecting on that one though.
Yeah, she's a fantastic exponent of the long ball. Jazzy, it just does need to connect with her players. So
yeah, well, bit of an error around the back there for the Pasifika team. It provides an opportunity here for the Māori team to put some pressure.
That's good solid defensive work there from the Pasifika women's side, being nice and low.
Yep.
And the same thing the other way. It's Grayson Keys Kumiro if she can link up in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I like the New Zealand Maori Waihinea there. They're running some good support lines there, just holding some good space if we can get the ball in.
Yeah, it is. You can just see off shot there their willingness to hold the other side of the field from where the ball is, so that when they do win that turnover ball, the transfer option is available. Just back of the stick there held them up, but there is some good shape from the Māori women's side. Happy just to play in a three-quarter shape press and really try and target the outside defenders as opposed to the middle one, but the Pasifika women do come forward here. And we have link up, we've got numbers going forward in motion. It's a great pass. And that will be enough there to win them the penalty corner. It looked like a little backstick tackle on the ball entry there on the left baseline as we check out a quick replay of that. It's a lovely pass here, an extra pass to the baseline entry. As you see, yeah, just rolled onto the back stick there of the Māori women's team. So it will be the Pasifika women with first use of the penalty corner. The Val sisters were instrumental in putting their penalty corners away last year. Straight hit off the top. They've got two brackets set up with two runners on the right. Looked like they went for the option back to the injector. There's a second shot here. Well defended there by Grayson Keys Kumiro. It looked like they went back for the narrow deflection, tama to the injector, which didn't get through the forehand block intercept there by the lineman.
Yeah, it did look like it was an early call, something they just obviously wanted to test out first, and maybe seen something from last year to give a go again, some space. But yeah, it wasn't quite there for them this time.
There's a little infringement there in the midfield. Will relieve a bit of pressure for the Māori women's side. That's a great pass there out to the right attack, and she's got player on the baseline. Bad tackle there will give possession through free hit to Tyler Goodsell-Matthews.
Yeah, there's that pass that we were talking about, wasn't it, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. That ability to transfer the ball quickly after either a free hit or a turnover. It was Taylor Weatherly. Not able to get the quality shot perhaps she wanted, but it is circle entry and it is pressure on. So we do see good break forward there for the Pasifika women's side.
You see again, they're happy to sort of throw around the back though and just keep a controlled sort of build up and just let the space open up for the passing lanes.
Yeah, it's a little miscue there, and I think who was the intended receiver for that pass, so it will give an opportunity here for the Māori women's side to just press their way forward.
You certainly don't want to give away too many of those options throughout the game. It'll be interesting as we see a few more aerial sort of passes now with the new rules introduced this year.
Yeah, it's when it's done right, can absolutely create some exciting opportunities, especially coming forward. If teams can execute the skill well, as the Pasifika women just play the ball out to their right side, not brought under control. There will be a turnover there at about halfway. The Māori woman will come forward through Taylor Weatherly.
Yeah, I like the way the New Zealand Māori women are creating the overlaps there where they through the back and shifting some players forward just on the flanks there, and Pasifika will need to make sure they keep an eye on that as they go through the game.
Yeah, there's that midfield transfer again we've mentioned a couple of times for the Māori women's side. Makes the Pasifika women really shift their focal on defence, sliding side to side, opens up little channels of pass entry, especially in and around the circle there for the Māori women's team. So I think Pasifika women's team will want to try and eliminate that midfield transfer ball and keep the ball on one side of the field just to make their defensive efforts a little easier if possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It really comes down to not ball watching too much, making sure they're aware of their roles and where their players are, and communicating that across the team. That's a great searching ball. Well,
good intercept there, so you could just see the experience there in a couple of the Māori women's team just stretching out a little bit, asking the strikers to overplay their hand, and there's a little cut ball into the midfield. This will be enough for the Pasifika women to build a little bit of attack here. They want to build some pressure. They had the first penalty corner of the match. We're midway through the first quarter here of action in the second game of the New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament between the New Zealand Maori women and the New Zealand Pasifika women. We're still 0-0 here. Outside of the penalty corner, not a lot has been on goal, but that's some good pressure there by Orewa Hepi, forcing the Pasifika women back into their own end. Pasifika women, that's Kaylee Tuiravi there with the ball. And Nicola Bradley for the Māori Wahine team, just too far in front of Orewa Hepi. There's an opportunity there. Those two played together at the last National Māori Hockey Tournament for Waiariki.
Yeah, Brad, we're seeing some good control pressure here by the New Zealand Māori Wahine here. Yeah, it's creating some sort of less accurate passing here for the Pasifika team and putting themselves under a little bit of pressure, so hopefully they can build some control back into their defence. And
yeah, you can see here that they have just made a little personnel change. The Pasifika team, they pulled Lulu Tuilotalava and Carissa Markia a layer back just to help with some of that pressure that they're under at the back. This is Tyler Goodsell-Matthews here. Just wins her team the free hit. Just in advance of halfway. And that is Lulu attempting to 3D keep the ball in the field of play. That's a little bit of skill there by Goodsell-Matthews. Trying to win her team a free hit, but it is equally up to the challenge there, the defensive work of Carissa Markia for the Pasifika women's side. And Tuilotalava will come forward.
We see Pasifika here really trying to maintain the advantage that they've got on their exit out of the defence here and maintain that going forward, and they're in the top pocket now as they look to hunt for a circle entry.
Yeah, Māori women still with players behind the ball, so the Pasifika women want to make the most of this. Unfortunately not on target there for them, but they will earn the long corner.
So embarrassing, man. Is she on now? Oh, she's not on. Oh, she's on this side. Did you just get here?
Yeah, good little entry to the right side T-bar there. Perhaps not the forced entry they would have wanted, but it does come up off the defender's stick into the body, so they will take a second penalty corner here, the Pasifika women. First penalty corner they did set up 2 brackets, and they went near side for the injector tap-in, which was well defended by the Māori women's side. Looks like Chris Amakia has just brought the instruction in from Paul Magoon.
Yeah, I wonder if there'll be some adjustments based on what they saw in that first PC.
Yeah, penalty corners obviously becoming increasingly influential in the results of games, as we see the way international hockey's going, and penalty corners being so important as we see Pasifika women pull out. It's untidy. That's unfortunate.
And they compounded, eh?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you have your player run to the coach, get all the X's and O's, come sprinting into the corner, and then just let down execution, unfortunately.
Yeah, and some of the prep, I think, Brad, that will come into play here in this first, maybe second quarter, just as everyone sort of just settles in, and certainly those set plays will be part of that as well as we move forward, and that's a great read.
A little intercept there from, I believe, Storm Dolan Robson, just holds the ball up. That's a good battle there between those two.
Yeah, neither giving an inch there and certainly battling it out.
Yeah, you're right. Both teams will not have gone through a huge amount of preparation as a whole team, so some of those set pieces and set plays might not be as fluid as they'd like them to be on day one, but certainly areas to improve and through the game and through the tournament. So Pasifika women just get a little option through up the attacking right hand side. They've still got possession here as we work into the last 2.5 minutes of the first quarter of action between the Pasifika women and the Māori women. For the most part, Tama, a game played between the 25-yard lines. It's hasn't been a huge amount outside of the 2 penalty corners that probably didn't go to play how they expected. A lot of this first quarter, traditional first game of a tournament, back and forth, ping-pong type of stuff that we'd probably expect.
Yeah, 100%. Just the little errors and things like that sort of stop a bit of that fluidity and build up and cohesion amongst teams, and so certainly that's what we're seeing here at the moment.
Yeah, and we saw it in the first game as well. Both teams start to improve, getting a quarter of hockey under their belt, and the second and third quarters before fatigue certainly starts to set in, starts looking a little bit better. But it's just little bits like we see there, miscues and communication not quite all on the same page yet, but both coaches, very experienced in their coaching roles, will be imploring their teams to be a little bit better, improve those as the game and the quarter goes on. And both teams do certainly possess the ability to go forward with some real flair and excitement, so I'm looking forward to the next quarter and the rest of this game.
Yeah, we're already starting to see the intent from both teams in terms of the different sort of approaches that they're looking to have when they're on the ball, and the Pasifika team a little bit of control, and when there's opportunity to counter, they'll have a go and throw everything at it, with the New Zealand Maori way in there are certainly a lot more intent around going forward at most opportunities, so we'll see if they keep that going as the game develops.
It is a great tackle there from the New Zealand Maori team, and they break out through their midfield. There's a great bit of speed there shown by Lee Arthur Worsup, but a fairly average...
The old stuck in the mud swing.
Yeah.
I've seen those before.
Yeah, unfortunately she did all the work to get there, and unfortunately just turned and swung to try and regain possession, and she earns herself a little bit of a break on the chair. We won't see her back till the second quarter.
Because she's on rest. Because they've got
as you say here, the Pasifika team a lot more content in holding the ball at the back and waiting for something to come, as opposed to the Māori team who are quite keen on going forward when they get possession. It's contrasting styles, and it's an opening quarter we probably expected. Physical, fast, not quite to the quality the teams would like to expect come the end of the weekend, but a good start. What have you liked so far, Tama?
Yeah, I think like I touched on, just the intent. It's really cool to sort of see that coming through. Certainly, I think it'll be interesting again with the Pacific team looking to control things. I wonder if they've got a bit of an eye to the future in terms of we've got a few games ahead of them, and just around that style of play it'll help potentially just keep a bit of consistency as they get through the few days. I think the Waihi team, they've got quite a big squad, I think, so maybe that's something that they're not so too worried about.
Yeah, you're right. It's you'd certainly expect a team to not be able to play that hard and that fast for four games if they only had the 18 players. So I think they will have some people that they're able to call in as we do check out the highlights from the first quarter here. This is a lovely passage of play that built up the Pasifika women's first penalty corner. There, like I said, unfortunately both of their corners probably slightly below where they wanted them to be. But they earned them, and they got there, and they were putting pressure on the circle, which they'll be pleased with. That'll please Coach Paul Magoon.
Yeah, both teams have had some pretty good opportunities and created often through some good deceptive passing I've seen too, just sort of changing the point of attack and really sort of getting outside the defence. So, that's some good signs. I'm sure both coaches will be pretty happy with some of the things they've seen. Obviously a few areas to tidy up like you've mentioned, but overall.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a quarter in. Our scores are still 0-0 between the New Zealand Pasifika women and the New Zealand Maori wahine here at the Colmar Sports Centre New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament Day 1, Game 2. Our first game was a 3-0 win to the New Zealand Heritage Barbarian women over the New Zealand Indian side, and we are out here about to start the second quarter. Both teams, I think, stuck to their game plans, and what it looked like was a pretty obvious strategy, different strategies that they had, but both teams stuck to it, and it'll be interesting to see whose is the successful one, who can gain the ascendancy and just get a little further in their attacks this quarter. Is the Māori team with possession again from the hit-off. It's Tyler Goodsell-Matthews who has thrown a good ball forward there a number of times, unable to be brought in well by her teammate, which allows the Pasifika woman to come forward with the ball. Yeah, both teams building a little bit of opportunity around the circle edge, and like I said, the Pasifika women team getting a couple of penalty corners, but neither team really troubling either goalkeeper just yet. It's those little final touches and final passes that will come together as the game progresses. We just see a little mix up there between a couple of players.
Yeah, I think for those that are able to, I think it's a great day down here, Brad. The weather's certainly played its part, so well done to the organisers for arranging that for us. I'm sure the players may sort of feel it a little bit, but there's still a cool breeze, so hopefully it'll keep them cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody that is around the Auckland area over this Easter weekend and don't want to be sitting in Auckland traffic, come on down to Papatoetoe. We're at Colmar Sports Centre right through till Monday as Marika Leonard there just tries her best to pull that one in. Yeah, come down and be involved. There's awesome games all weekend. It's high-class players and hockey on display. And it's orange light now, so come and be involved and get amongst it and see some of the best hockey in the country.
Yeah, a bit of music, bit of food, some good people around. Everyone's willing to sit on the sideline and tell some good stories, so make sure you do get the chance to come down and be part of it. There's nothing quite like being here live.
Absolutely, that's another great midfield transfer pass by the New Zealand Māori team. They do find Leonard going forward with the ball. Little touch in there.
It's a contest in there, isn't it, Brad?
Yeah, strong battle there between a couple of senior players, Nori Wahepi and Carissa Makia, who have played a fair bit of hockey against each other through Māori tournaments and through this tournament. As that is another turnover there for the Māori women's side.
You've seen a bit of broken play here, isn't it? Sort of, you know.
That's Nicola Bradley going forward, but just apologies, Leah Arthur Worslip. She does want a free hit. That's that battle again.
Yeah,
Pepe and Markia.
That's half the battle, isn't it? Just to get that ball on the circle and create that pressure and on the defence there to make some decisions. New Zealand Pasifika did well there to just sort of hold back and get the ball and turn over and exit.
Yeah,
That's nice
great
probing
ball into the middle of the field there. And great skill up Storm Dolan Robson. She's got Marika Magoon ahead of her, but just can't link up.
Yeah, it was sort of even numbers game. It was a good ball to get out, but it was going to be a tough ask to sort of get much more going forward from there. They did well. They still get the hit.
Yeah, Coach Tina Balkaki will be pleased with the first couple of minutes of her side's start in this quarter. I'd say she would have asked them to come out hot by the looks of that, but it is the Pasifika women team coming forward only as far as the circle edge.
Oh, great ball spread out. Just unfortunate there on the receive.
Yeah, and that's that intent to go forward that we've seen from the Māori women's side. If that starts to connect and they get a number ahead of the ball like that, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, that wasn't far off, was it, Brad? That was close.
No, it's right there, I think, for both teams. The opportunities are starting to come. We are still locked up at 0-0 here in Game 2, Day 1 of New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament between New Zealand Pasifika women and the New Zealand Maori Wahine. As Māori team forced to get right back to their back line to get ball out. And that's Tyler Goodsell Matthews looking towards the middle of the field. And I've done well there on the exit.
Yeah, they have done well. The Pacific team put a few numbers there on.
Oh, we have linked up here coming forward with Uriwa Hepi. She's got a player in the circle.
Yeah, really good effort there by New Zealand Maori Wahine there. You're getting the ball out of defence and then straight into attack and through into a circle entry there with an absolute great opportunity there to potentially get something out of it.
Yeah, that's great work out of the deep in their defence between McQuinn, Jazz McQuinn, Grayson Keys-Kumiroa and Tyler Goodsell Matthews, just able to link up with Uriwa Hepi coming forward. Couldn't quite get the ball to her striker in front of goal, but they've really turned something up this first couple of minutes of the second quarter here. Just see out of shot still left midfielder type role here available on the other side of the field if they can find the midfield transfer that has worked well for them in the first quarter. Here she is coming onto the ball. It's Ruby Jane Meehan. That's a grace.
Yeah, that was a good time tackle there, just in the nick of time for the Pacific women's team there.
Yeah, got a little midfield build-up play there between Ruby Jane Meehan and Micah Ackroyd for the New Zealand Māori team, but it is Storm Dolan Robson coming forward for Pasifika women.
I've seen quite a few free runs down on the left-hand side there by the Pacifica team, so it'll be interesting if they keep looking to prod down that area again and keep getting some value out of it, or whether or not the New Zealand Māori Wahine women's team makes some adjustments and close it down earlier.
Yeah, that's Lulu Tulu Talava coming forward. And just unfortunately off target. She can turn nothing into something very quickly. You're right, Tama. It is one of the susceptibilities, I guess, of playing with a back three is having your outside defenders a little bit deeper and potentially opening up some of those outside channels, as we have seen the Pasifika women implore that left attacking side a couple of times there. The key, I guess, then is linking back up to the middle of the field once they make that breach and not getting caught down in the corner, isolated. But yeah, if they can turn those breaches into entries, absolutely both teams, it's starting to open up here, which is exciting. The crowd is building and there is some excitement around the turf. We just saw Lulu Toilu Talava put on a little bit of skill going forward. And this is Marika Leonard with the ball for the New Zealand Māori team. It's intercepted well there by Makia and Toilu Talava. They'll come forward with Dolan Robson. There's that left side again.
Flow, isn't it?
Jesus! Wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately left the umpire not a lot of option there on a pretty physical challenge by Jazz McQuinn just on the edge of the circle there for the New Zealand Maori team. Yeah, that left side is explosive. I think if they can link up, as you see here, Dolan Robson, Tuilo Talava, Markia coming down that left side. Yeah, and they've still got numbers on the opposite side of the field. If they can just link that up, back up through the middle or the far post there, there's opportunities to be had. So Pacifica women will have their third penalty corner for the match. And that is pay for the excellent work coming up the left side. Penalty corner well executed, as we do see the replay here. Just a tidy little layoff to the first bracket. Hitter, I think it's come up off a defender's stick and it has found the net, and it does put the Pacifica women ahead 1-0. I mentioned earlier how important their penalty corner was last year, the Pacifica side. As the Māori team want to answer straight back, if they can find Uriwa in front of the goal.
Yeah, it's always the risk, isn't it, Brad, after you score a goal and the opposition sort of gets the tails up and really goes forward with it, and we saw there just another example of the New Zealand Māori woman there getting straight into the circle with an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about possession after points, you know, making sure that you don't undo all of your hard work by allowing a team straight back into your own end, and it was very, very nearly it there for the Māori team. As Pacifica go in search of another. Okay, I think we knew this game was going to open up pretty quickly, and it has. It's going to be exciting. I hope the effects of fatigue don't slow down this too quickly, because if these teams can keep up this style of play for the next couple of quarters, we're in for an absolute bell ringer here.
Some great skill there.
That's fantastic bit of 3D control there through a number of defenders inside the circle. I mean, both teams have done equally well. One, not to give away a penalty corner, and two, to get through there.
Yeah, we're seeing everything really, aren't we? You know, from my sort of things, a bit of old school upright hitting in the PC there and scoring the goal, but also we're seeing some of those new 3D area skills really showcasing, I guess, the game of hockey and where it's going.
Yeah, and that's the. I think that's what a tournament like this provides. You know, we've got players here with years and years of experience, and
not too many years,
as well as some of these younger players who, you know, perhaps play the game in a slightly different style, which breeds an exciting style of hockey.
Yeah, it provides a really great platform for development too, especially you know, some of those less experienced players that are getting this opportunity now to play alongside those that obviously, like you mentioned, have got some pedigree, and they'll learn a lot from those moments in the game, and you know, the communication and just sharing that goes on. It's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's, you know, we've got a tournament here celebrating culture, and we've got three players that have played a number of international games for New Zealand, as we see the current one, Tuilo Talava, just asking her teammates to give her an option going forward.
There's a little bit of that coaching on the field that I just touched on there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Good transfer of play here by the Pacifica women's team, changing the point of attack. They've got some gas here if they can link up. She just needs a teammate. That's good defensive work.
Really
here.
good defence there. Just held her time, picked the timing right, and just managed to pinch the ball there. Hopefully the New Zealand Māori team, the women's team, can hold on to a bit of position here. They're sort of, you know, it's been sitting with Pacifica for a bit now, and
yeah, that's it. When the I guess when the long ball dries up a little bit, they have to make sure that there's other ways that they can create their attacking opportunities. That is a nice touch pass through the midfield, but cleaned up by Carissa Markia, who has been phenomenal for the Pacifica women's side.
yeah, nice little short passing exit there to get out of the defence. Didn't quite land at their last pass, but good to see a bit of variation there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good two-man tackle executed there by the Pacifica women's side.
She said, right, that she's going to get the back.
Good physicality from both sides there. Well won by Grayson Keys-Kumiroa. And here is that go forward ball. They've got a 3-on-2 if they can use it.
Again, just enough players back there at the nick of time for the Pasifika women's team there, just to regain possession and control again.
Yeah, and it's Chris Amaki again doing a lot of work there for that Pasifika side.
Yeah, we just see her there take a minute there just to catch her breath. She did a lot of extra work just to get back and add value, so coaches will love to see that, I'm sure.
Yeah, she might go for a quick spell here if she can grab a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Well earned.
It's Arabella Irwin there, trying to link up. She can find the next ball across. That's a great midfield pass.
Ty and Alex and Leah all have one as well.
And ball just allowed to play out over the back line there. Relieve a little bit of pressure for the Pasifika women's side. They did score the first goal through a penalty corner earlier in this quarter, and with 3 minutes to go, we'll want to make sure that their hard work is not undone by conceding a goal here. The Māori team will want to get that ledger back to as even as possible, even as quickly as possible. It's a
nice
great
bit of
snap
deception
pass.
there, yeah. Just showed like the pass is going to go to the outside half there and then cut through, so really good deception there by the fullback. Yeah, we think with 3 minutes to, or just under 3 minutes to go in the second quarter, we're probably a little bit of some tired bodies out there, and everyone's just trying to manage, I suppose, the rest of this time in this quarter by the look of it.
Yeah, absolutely. This second quarter has been incredibly high-paced. Both teams know that they've got over half an hour of hockey left to play.
Yeah, you certainly appreciate sitting in the commentary box watching opposed to being out there having to do the hard yards that these ladies are.
Absolutely, and it's only going to get tougher as the sun continues to beat down here at Colmar Sports Centre in Papatoetoe, and the weekend continues on. We've just come into the last couple of minutes of the second quarter here. It is the Māori women team attempting to come forward, but it's a Pasifika team with numbers up.
Yeah, numbers forward there, that's good. Looks like a 4-on-2.
Fantastic.
A couple options in there.
Yeah, it's not the outcome they would have wanted from the hard work they did to get there. Storm Dolan Robson has been fantastic going forward for the Pasifika women's side. She's got a ton of speed and fantastic on-ball skill too.
You can't coach speed, I've found that over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there's a few of these players on both sides that when they can turn it on can really go. And that's a good little bit of skill there from Jazz McQuinn. Probably not going to win the speed battle, so is going to have to make up for it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Good decision making.
Yep.
Yeah, she feinted one way and dragged back the other, and gave herself some time and space to get a good exit. As we see another turnover here, and it looks like a triple turnover.
Yep. Yeah, that's the lung killer, that. Especially, like I said, as the game goes on.
Yeah, just under a minute left to go here, and
yeah, it's a Pasifika women team with the possession on the ball. That's lovely work, that left side again. Tami, you mentioned noticing their attacking forage down that left side. It's been particularly impressive this quarter.
yeah, to be curious whether or not that's a strategy that's been employed by the coaching staff, or it's just something that sort of the players have seen and just starting to sort of exploit themselves. You know, that play what you see sort of stuff is really good to see from a coach's perspective. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's often, you know, you base things around personnel, but when players can just play eyes up hockey and see where the space is and what's successful and what's not, that's really pleasing as a coach. There's game plans and you can draw X's and O's till the cows come home, but at the end of the day you need some players out there that can just play what's in front of them and play eyes up, and yeah, both teams have those players, and it's about who can execute that as well as their game plan to the highest level for the remaining 2 quarters of this game. As we go into half time, in the second game of day one of the New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament between the Pasifika women and the Maori women. It is the Pasifika team with the advantage. Both teams turned up a level in that quarter, and the game got faster. Opportunities became more and more frequent, and both goalkeepers were asked questions, and it is 1-0 to the Pasifika women's side, thanks to a penalty corner executed, their third one of the game. Tama, what have you liked so far in the match?
Well, I think what I've liked is that both teams have had plenty of opportunities just to create chances, score goals. It's come down to a few moments in the circle that have obviously the Pasifika team have managed to capitalise on there, and I'm sure the Tina and the New Zealand Maori Wahine will be, while not happy with the score, they'll certainly be pleased with the fact they've had opportunities.
Yeah, as we have a look at a couple of the highlights here, that is a long ball brought in by Ori Wahepi. Just didn't quite go to stick in front of the goal of Queenie Blakelock there. But both teams certainly had their opportunities, and it was the Pasifika women's team through this left-hand build-up play that they executed so well on a number of occasions.
Yeah, they looked a bit like me, I suppose, trying to gain speed by the look of it. Stop and starting.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the second most famous Jones to come out of the Northland Sports history books, so I'm sure you will have done your fair share of burning people on the outside in your day, Tama. And again, this is this left side from the Pasifika women's side. That was the penalty corner that resulted in a goal for the Pasifika team, and this is the penalty corner execution that paid off for them. Yeah, there's when you get a good, solid hitter of the ball that has that fundamental skill and can do it on the ground, it's pretty hard to beat. And they had the opportunities, the Pasifika team. That one unfortunately unravelled a little bit in front of the goal as they got down there. But both sides with opportunities, and I know the Māori team will rue an opportunity that they had right after conceding in front of the goal that they were unable to put away, which could put this scoreboard in a very different place than it is currently. But both teams playing pretty enterprising hockey in that second quarter, Tama.
Yeah, but what do you think the coaches are just touching on here, trying to get the teams to think about for the second half?
I think both coaches will like what they've seen in terms of what they're trying to do. A lot of it just comes down now to execution, so making sure those passes are going to the right areas or to the right players, and the small things, the receivers happening before the next action. Players are getting to zones off the ball carrier to make their job easier. And there are a couple of highlights that you'll see here of good midfield transfer for the Māori team and really good counter-attack breakout hockey for the Pasifika team. And I think in terms of what they're doing, both coaches will love it. It'll just be back down to execution now. Obviously we're here at the Comar Sports Centre in Papatoetoe. It's an awesome tournament, New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament in its second year, and we couldn't do it without some fantastic sponsors that have continued to support this tournament right from last year. Of course, we've got One Foundation and the work they do with funding and sponsorship, MTEL and their expertise around technology, the Barner Family Farms, who always show up for both this tournament and I know a lot of Indian hockey events, Onyx Sportswear, Ted O'Brown from Onyx Sports, who does a lot of work in team and sports gear, Eddie at Go Hockey, the legend Eddie. If you are in the need for some new hockey gear, he will be here, I believe, on Saturday or Sunday with his new trailer Swift. Blackwood Legal, who do some fantastic legal advisory work and continue to sponsor the tournament. Keeper Life, Phil and the team at Keeper Life, who are big on insurance and financial literacy and understanding what options you have there. And of course Mama's Hangi, who I can't wait to sample my fourth one for the day of Mama's Hangi. It's not quite like my Mama's Hangi, but it's pretty good. And they're our fantastic sponsors for the Heritage Hockey Tournament again this year. We couldn't be here and we couldn't put on this fantastic tournament without everything that they do, so massive thank you to all of those and the people here that support through watching through the FIH app, through the New Zealand Heritage Hockey Facebook page, through Sky Sport Next on YouTube, And of course, this is all brought to you by Local Gecko Productions, a fantastic family-run media company out of Rotorua, who do excellent work around sports, events, filming, live streaming, photography and videography, putting all of this together for our hockey communities as we come out for the start of the third quarter here. It will be the Pasifika women with first use of the ball. Tama, they are up 1-0 currently. What's the first 5 minutes going to look like here for the Pasifika team?
Based on that start, it looks like they're going to go forward pretty quickly, I think, Brad. I think that's the intent there by Pasifika. They want to hammer home, I suppose, and hold on to that, not sit back and just sort of absorb some pressure. So I think that's a good approach by all accounts, and I'm sure the New Zealand Maori will certainly go out and continue to go forward and attack and ask some questions of the Pasifika defence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know... and you do as well. You know Paul Magoon pretty well, and I know that his message will be the best way to protect a 1-0 lead is to make it a 2-0 lead. And so they won't be sitting back and letting the game come to them. They'll want to keep pushing forward, and they had some good success in that second quarter, so they'll want to keep going with what they've got. And equally, I know Tina Balkake will have riled up her team as well to make sure that they stick to their game plan, execute what they're trying to do, and get themselves back level as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think the key is, like what you said, Brad, we've seen enough from both teams to suggest that there's some quality out there, and really it's just around the top 2 inches, around how individually and as a group, obviously, they come together and put it on the park here for the next sort of 2 quarters.
Yeah, you can just see there that the Pasifika women's side are aware of the long ball threat of Jazz McQuinn and content just to sit a little deeper in that press when she is over the ball, so that they can be in intercept lines rather than being right under the nose of her upright hit. And it has paid off for them here as they do have ball coming forward up the right side. Loose exit for the Māori team, just gets as far as halfway, so the Pasifika women with ball in the midfield through Tui Ravi.
Yeah, some quick ball movement here to keep going forward, and great circling through already.
Lulu Tuilotalava there again, linking up with...
Good footwork around there too, not to get their feet in the way, unlike myself.
Yeah, they some of these players out here make it look a lot easier than it is. It's a tribute to their skill, their fitness, their work ethic, and their ability that some of these skills look so silky out there. You can see in the shot there the crowd starting to build up here down at Kolmar Sports Centre in Papatoetoe. We've obviously got some men's games coming up shortly, as we can see the Indian men's side defending champions in the green just behind shot. They'll be looking to start their campaign off in the next game. It is building up here. Come on down to Papatoetoe. And if you're not in the Auckland area, make sure you join us online. This New Zealand Maori team, they've looked at that overhead ball a few times. Obviously not quite able to bring it under control here as Lulu Tuilotalava links up. Going forward for Pasifika. They will earn a free hit just outside the 25-yard line. I've got Storm Dolan Robson fishing around in the circle in front of the goalkeeper if they can find her. That's
got good numbers in there again and pops through.
Just a little bouncy one over the goalkeeper there. Didn't quite make it to the stick of the far post.
You see the New Zealand Pasifika team here sitting a bit higher on their press, so we'll see if that's something they're looking to employ as they enter this third quarter.
Yeah, I think they've really figured out if they can get midfield turnover and come through the midfield with ball. They look really good, but it is Marika Leonard here for the New Zealand Maori. It's a nice trap there, but cleaned up by it is Carissa Makia for the Pasifika team.
Yeah, that's good signs for the New Zealand Maori Wahine there. They had some players ahead of the ball there, and all they need to do is just, like you say, Brad, a bit of execution there just to pop it through. It will give them a really good clean chance.
It's a good little opportunity play here for Pasifika, and that's fantastic turn of skill. in amongst a couple of would-be defenders there to earn herself a penalty corner. I think as we saw the full shot there, Tama, player there did really well to hold the ball up and allow her to get players back. As we see this infield break here, just allows an extra 2 players to get in the frame. At the end of the day, that is individual skill that has earned the penalty corner, but pleasing signs for what she was trying to go for.
Yeah, 100%. As we get ready for the penalty corner. Again, two brackets at the top. I wonder if we'll see the upright hit again, one of my favourites.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't beat an upright hit. We've got, looks like Tula Talava on the first bracket, and Kayla Val on the second. She was the hitter. And it does go to Val, and you're not stopping that.
Yeah, what do we say about that, Brad? Again, it's one of my favourites and something we don't see a lot of these days, so it's good to see it still being effective.
She was an exponent of it last year, and it looks just as gorgeous as it did then. That is good old-fashioned, get a ball on target and let the ball talk.
Yep.
That's fantastic execution there, right down the attacking right post. And you got to do pretty well to save that. Well executed by the Pasifika women's team. Puts them up 2-0. That is Kayla Val with the second goal.
Yeah, I wonder if, I know Brett Lever, who's obviously involved with the Pasifika team, he used to be a pretty good exponent of the upright penalty corner hits, so I wonder if he's had some influence there at all over the years.
Yeah, that's classic. I think we both looked at each other as soon as that came off the stick before it even hit the backboard, and didn't think many people were going to be stopping that, so it is nice to see. Good old-fashioned solid hit off the top of a penalty corner bracket and executed well.
It's good to see the Pasifika team too just make sure they sort of settle again after the goal. Not the first time round where the Māori Wahine were able to sort of get in and attack pretty quickly, so
yeah. I'm sure that's something Paul Magoon mentioned after their first goal, the lapse that almost cost them the hard work that in. So they're up 2-0 now, and it is good period here after points. It has made its way.
Yeah.
Again, there's some certain enterprise here by the Pasifika women's team.
There wasn't a lot on, but the old bouncy ball into the circle often plays a bit of mischief in there at times.
Yeah, absolutely. Just gives an extra little element of what could happen as the ball goes through. It's the Pasifika women's team with a nice little deceptive pass there into the midfield.
There is a bit of a spring now in the Pasifika women's step.
Yeah, they've got ball coming forward here. That's good low defence. That's Grayson Keys-Kumiro, who has been very strong in defence for the Māori Wahine team. Young player out of the Aotea Rohe. Played in last year's winning team, and Marika Leonard comes forward with the ball.
Yeah, there's a strong carry there, just unfortunately no real clear options other than through a bit of the defensive players there and created a bit of a turnover, unfortunately, for the New Zealand Māori Wahine.
Pasifika team again with ball into the circle, just a little bit out of reach. And
yeah, I think if we start seeing much more of these sort of end-to-end play, I think we're going to see a bit of fatigue and a lot more open play and potential bit of chaos at each end of the circle, I think.
Yep, which is exactly what we're here for. We want to see these opportunities. We want to see these players showcasing their skills in front of the goal. It's an exciting tournament. We've got some exciting players from both sides here. So we see the bouncy ball again, just get through defence. There's Leah Arthur-Worsop just rolling a ball in, but that'll be the skill execution we talked about at half-time, that the coaches will be expecting better of their players. Little things like that, when the opportunity does arise, you've got to be able to execute the skill first.
Yeah, certainly would like to see the Māori Wahine just sort of those last options just in around the 25, attacking 25, just to be a little bit more controlled around how they're looking to enter there. They're certainly getting there enough, and I'm sure the coaches would like to see a little bit more outcome in that sort of space for them.
That's it, and it's as good as a 2-goal lead is, the Māori women's team have to remember it's only 2. They don't have to score all 3 in the next 3 minutes. They have to keep their processes strong so that they score the next one, and put themselves in a position. We've still got plenty of hockey here, over 25 minutes left in this game. You don't need to force anything desperate just yet.
Yeah, I think when you're the team up 2-0, you often have a little level of false sense of security at times. They can creep in, and we haven't seen that yet from the New Zealand Pasifika women's team yet, but I know that is sometimes a risk.
Yeah, absolutely, and you'll see well-coached teams react to that situation, in the correct ways. The team that's up 2-0 not thinking, yep, we're all good, and the team that's down 2-0 not stressing and thinking that they have to do everything in the very next possession. Both teams will be wary of that. 2-0's a strange old place in a hockey game, and we've all been there. How quickly 2-all becomes 2-2. As we do see...
There's a great build-up there. Good play, unfortunate though, just the last pass not connecting again.
Yeah, that's the little force where potentially we would have liked to see her roll the midfield ball that was paying dividends for them in the first quarter, just to help get numbers forward, change the point of attack.
Yeah, there does seem to be a lot of eyes looking vertical, but there is certainly some opportunity to go horizontal at times. Again, like you say, Brad, they certainly looked quite threatening when they were throwing that in that first quarter.
Yeah, it's just the little link here as it is Tana Curry coming forward with the ball.
Yeah, that's an infamous diving pass, reverse stick that we see from Tiana at times. We see that locally over the years.
Yeah, she's obviously playing her hockey out of Whangarei, and we've both seen her come up from a younger player right through to where she is now, and getting involved in coaching she is, which is awesome to see at a young age. Both her mum and grandmother spent time coaching, a long time, of course, with Vicky. It was awesome to see her follow in their steps and become a bit of a leader and role model up there.
Yeah, that's a big part of the game, isn't it? Like what we see on the field, but we certainly, what I love to see is certainly those players that have had a really good experience coming through, and people that have committed time to them that they give back as well, and when they can is obviously the key. Like a lot of these players are, the higher end of the game, and they'll be committed to trainings and that sort of space, but when the timing's right, any chance they can give back, we would love to see.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is what tournaments like this is about. These younger players get the experience to play alongside Black Sticks or ex-Black Sticks, and they understand that giving back to the next generation is as important as what they received when they were in that position. So, very generational hockey family that Tiana Curry comes from, and she's certainly not alone up there. There's a number in the same boat that give back that way, which is awesome to see.
It's definitely a big part of hockey. It's a family through and through. You start young, and often your grandparents and even great grandparents are still engaged in the game, and that's certainly a strength of what it presents. And I think this tournament especially is a great example of that. Not only do we have obviously the players on the field, but they bring with them everyone that stands around on the sideline as a supporter or an active and engaged parent of whānau, and some of them have probably coached them over the years too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what keeps our game going, alongside exciting opportunities in tournaments like this, as we do see the Māori woman with possession going forward up their right side. There's that searching reverse stick ball. Had an opportunity going forward there. It's probably a little opportunistic, and I'd say Coach Tina Balkaki would like that to be a little more built up and a little more genuine than the search ball. But it is an opportunity, and it's only going to come from opportunity. If they're going to keep throwing, they've got to keep making the most of them.
Yeah, I think the key for the New Zealand Māori wahine there will be about momentum, just trying to keep the pressure and keep the ball in areas of the field for a little bit longer periods of time, and just create a little bit of doubt or pressure on the New Zealand Pasifika team. Yeah,
it's certainly something that has become really important, as we do see this left side attack here from the Pasifika team. Yeah, again, little final bits of execution. We talk about how the game's changed, and we've gone from 35-minute halves where momentum shifts can last for half an hour into these quarters where you really have to make the most of any momentum swing you get. If you can get a couple of possession periods down the right end or a couple of free hits, you really have to make the most of that, because it can turn in the quarter ends just as quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's a good read there defensively.
I think it took a little bobble off a foot on its way
Yeah,
through. It'll be McQuinn on the ball for the Māori team. That's a good read there by Tuilo Talava. She's got numbers forward, and the Māori team don't want to concede a third. This is danger. As Tuilo Talava just sends one over the goal there.
Is that Brody in goal, is it?
Yeah, Brody Cochrane,
had
young
some
Brody
good lines.
Cochrane for the Māori women's team. A young goalkeeper out of Northland. She's got big ass there with Lulu running forward at her.
She held a good line though, so that's good to see.
That's Nicola Bradley working for the Māori women's team on the ball there. One of the younger players in the team. Just not able to link up, unfortunately.
About 1.5 minutes left to go in this third quarter.
As we wind down the last 90 seconds of this third quarter here, Pasifika women's side up 2-0 over the defending champion Māori Wahine team. There's a good bit of ball pressure there. Unfortunate, just rolls onto the back of the stick for the Māori team and relieves some pressure there for Kaya Elliott on the ball.
Yeah, that was well read by the striker there. Just saw the cues, slightly slower pass, saw the opportunity to go and put some direct pressure on, and almost got a bit of an outcome out of it.
Yeah, just a little miscue there coming out of the back for the Pasifika women's team, invites the Māori team back onto the attack. They do have just under a minute here, and if they're going to want to put something on, they're going to want it in this possession. It is Grayson Keys Kumiro with the ball. And she gets it back. It's little execution points like that, Tama, that's letting them down, isn't it? They're in the right spot, they've got numbers around the ball, and it's either a searching pass that's not on the deck or not quite to the right person that's just letting their attack down at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. The intent's there, and the search or the look and the decision making sort of there, just a little bit around the actual execution, unfortunately, and hopefully that'll come.
Yeah, it's obviously game one for both of these teams. It's they wouldn't have been playing a lot of hockey this early in the year, as we do just see that hear that hooter signal the end of the third quarter. Yeah, teams won't have played a huge amount of hockey, and certainly not together. But little things like that are what are the difference between games and tournament hockey, and especially on game day one, where a first up win is so important to set up the rest of your weekend. It's going to be an interesting fourth quarter here, as the Māori team will be in search of goals, and the Pasifika women's team, though not probably content to sit on 2-0, will want to make sure that they get through the final 17 minutes, as we see a couple of the highlights here from the third quarter. It was a fast start for the Pasifika team. They nearly had one early there in the quarter. And this was a lovely little bit of individual skill here that resulted in a penalty corner for the Pasifika women's team. And it's a penalty corner that they executed to absolute perfection here. As you see, we'll see ball to second bracket, and this will be a great line at it.
Yeah, not much you can do about that one, is it?
No, I think that's hit 2 feet on the way through, and still got there quicker than most. So well executed, the Pasifika women's penalty corner. This was another one that just trickled along the front of the goal. Didn't come to a whole lot there, but certainly had opportunities at that end, the Pasifika women's side. Paul Magoon will be pleased with their progress in that quarter, both for the sake of the game and for the sake of their tournament. They've gone from strength to strength. Obviously, their maiden voyage as an organisation last year at this tournament. And like you mentioned, Tama, a lot less use of guest players, so it is spreading through the Pasifika community, which is fantastic. And they're improving, which is even better. So they'll be buoyed by this first 3 quarters. And it's important that they continue on with the job.
Yeah, as we enter the final quarter here, it'll be interesting to see how both teams sort of approach it again. It's Pacifica women's team have sort of looked like they're playing with a bit of confidence, a bit of control as well, and we certainly hope that the New Zealand Maori wahine there will certainly come and make the most of this last few minutes that they have in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you watching at home and for those joining us here at Colmar Sports Centre in Papatoetoe, it is 2-0 to the Pasifika women's side over the New Zealand Maori wahine team. Both teams know how important finishing this game well is going to be for the rest of their tournament, so don't be surprised if we see some fireworks here in this last quarter, as we do see the Māori women team wanting to come forward with the ball. You know, but both teams know how important it is to not start off the week with a loss. And like I said, there's going to be some fire here out of this Māori wahine team. They are the defending champions, and they have brought a fair few players back from last year's team. Coached by a very formidable player and coach in Tina Belkake. She won't be wanting to give up one on day one. But it's been fantastic play from the Pasifika women's players that have put them in this position they're in at the moment.
Yeah, I think this New Zealand Māori wahine team, they've got massive amount of ability to score goals and potentially score goals quickly. So certainly, you know, if they get one, the likelihood is that they might be able to get another one relatively quickly and really put some pressure on this last quarter. Yeah,
that's it. They're going to look to rely on the likes of Oriwa Hepi up the front, who's a real leader in their striker group, to get them on the same page, get them working together.
It's good to see the players out there having a bit of fun too, enjoying the moment. It's always a bit of pressure out there in terms of, you know, playing games and the competition that results in it. But you know, good to see smiles out there too by both opposition players.
Yeah.
Tiana often smiling, doesn't she?
Tiana knows every minute she's playing, she's closer to getting the chalky milk at the end of the game. So she's always happy to be out there.
Yeah, it's the small things.
So we see Māori team with ball at the back, that is Jazz McQuinn. So ball into Micah Ackroyd under the challenge of the Pasifika team. She'll get a free hit going forward. And look over.
Yeah, I like that, something a little bit different.
Yep.
And they do get the outcome. You get a little bit of risk and reward.
But they're going to have to this quarter, the Māori women, I hope. Not with a lack of execution, but they are going to have to start throwing some things going forward. I hope they still look to that midfield transfer that looked so good for them in the first quarter, but you're right, they're going to have to start throwing a couple extra numbers forward and a couple of passes, and here they are coming forward.
There's a chance.
It's baseline entry there. She won an outcome, and just unable there.
Yeah, still good solid sort of numbers there for the Pasifika team, and no one sort of rushing in, which is always good to see in a defensive space.
That's it, really good patience there in circle defence. Not rushing in to commit a poor tackle or get your feet exposed. There's another opportunity coming forward here for the Māori team. There's enough to win a free hit. So these are these momentum swings where the Māori team want to try and string a few possessions going forward together and execute on it.
Just really sort of lean on those experienced players, don't you, and just to control things and set the plays up. And on the flip side, the Pacific women's team, they'll be looking to control and sort of manage the game out.
Yeah, they'll know where their risk and reward is, the Pasifika team. Yes, they'll want to get, you know, they'd obviously love to get to the third, but they know as the clock counts down, so does their risk in terms of losing this match. So, you know, they'll manage that well. They know when they've got numbers going forward and when it's not, get the ball to the other end of the field. This is the Māori women's team with ball coming forward. And there's Carissa Makia again with fantastic defensive work. She's been a standout for this Pasifika team in her ability to clean up. Often unthanked job, that one. But she does it so very well.
Towner looking for some one-touch hockey again. Just didn't quite land that time.
Good trap there by Oriwa Hepi. That's the midfield transfer we wanted to see, but well read and well controlled there by the Pasifika team coming out of their own end.
Yeah, position will be a big one for New Zealand Pasifika, I would imagine, at this stage of the game, and what position they're in 2-0 up. And they certainly won't want to give too much position away to this New Zealand Māori team here. They'll certainly make the most of any position they do get.
Yeah, that's it. They'll be looking at things like turnover retention when they do win the ball, making sure that they don't give it straight back. They won't mind throwing an extra few passes, but making sure that they keep possession or starving the Māori team of it. Little things like that, which both these coaches will be very experienced and versed in. Different roles that they play in this game is. Pasifika women do get some attacking option here.
Yeah, they get an outcome. Just not a lot really going on there, just sort of getting the ball in that space and just seeing what the defence is going to do.
That's it. I think as we do see the replay there from the entry, you're right, it kind of wasn't much going on here, but maybe some tired bodies not quite jumping to the ball early, and poor things like that unfortunately can happen when you're under defensive pressure and scoreboard pressure, and it will give the Pasifika women another stab at the set piece.
It's going to be same again, do you think, Brett?
Maybe
a variation.
It looks like the last goal scorer is not on the field, so Tiana Curry looks to be setting up off the first bracket. Yeah, looked for a variation. They didn't have their hitters on the field, so they went for a little near side deflection. Didn't quite pay off. It looked like a second or third string option, unfortunately, from what the execution was there. But look, they'll be pleased that they're getting to the right end of the field still and not just sitting back waiting for things to happen in this last quarter.
Yeah, territory is important, like you say, position territory. Play the game at the right end of the field, and minimise your risk at your own defensive end.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see here the Pasifika women's team still imploring to go forward and still putting pressure on these defensive passes here, but not at risk of exposing their midfield and the long ball. They're still in pretty good shape around the back in terms of hotline marking.
Yeah, this is a good open play though, good transition, back into the midfield and opening up again.
Yeah, it's a couple of midfield transfers that we didn't see, but that last option there, just a forced option.
Yeah, it wasn't balanced, a little bit wrong-footed there, and maybe could have taken another couple of steps just to hold that control.
Yeah, they keep possession though, which is the main thing, but it's not long-lived. As Pasifika do come forward with the ball, and they've got an option here if she can release Tuilo Talava.
Nope, another one. Pops through.
This could be trouble.
There it is. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I'd say the Māori team might want to ask a little question of the ball across. Just from height, obviously we're not down there at field level, but as we see the ball through here to the Pasifika, just keep an eye on this pass potentially.
Yeah, here it is. They've just reversed there. That's I think that's a good decision potentially.
Yeah, so it has been awarded a free hit to the New Zealand Māori team, as we just saw in the replay vision there. Just a ball that went through, probably uncontrolled and at danger of a player there.
Yeah, I think that sort of sums up what we've seen so far, though, isn't it, Brad? Just in terms of, both teams have had chances in and around their attacking circles, but the Pasifika women's team have really just probably made a little bit more of their opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see some players out there taking some big breaths at the moment. It's been a fast-paced game right from the start. Both these teams have thrown everything at it, and I think they are both aware of how important this game likely is come the end of the weekend. And this is Tuilo Talava again on the ball.
So here's a good transfer again. We're going from the right to the left, and we get some good go-forward space.
Yeah, it's that left side again that's been so good for them. I've been really impressed by this, by the attacking shape of this Pasifika women's side. Last year when we saw them play, it was a little one out and a little opportunistic, but they've really started to get some shape to their attack. Which, I mean, any time you see these sort of teams, they've got plenty of flair, they've got plenty of skill and plenty of ability, but basing it on some good backbone is the next step. And they've been really impressive by the way they've been able to stick to a plan, get to good areas of the field that they want to be playing in, and their attack has looked good.
Yeah, I might have to catch up with Paul after this and pick his brain a little bit around maybe how he's achieved that, because I know I struggle a little bit with one of the women's teams that I'm involved with up north.
Oh, that's an unfortunate little error there by Jazzy McQuinn out on the edge of the circles. Just picked up her back foot there. It's the bouncy ball you talked about earlier, Tama. When you're fatigued and when you've got scoreboard pressure, those little things magnify, and it has given the Pasifika women's side another opportunity here, and it looks like Tori Vale's back. In fact, it's Kayla.
We're hoping the New Zealand Maori
And
team will be
Rhiannon.
thinking about counters here. Hopefully he's defending. Here we go.
Yes, a little drag flick option by Rhiannon Holditch there. Obviously she was an exponent of the drag flick for the Black Sticks women in her time in the team. She's met a pretty staunch defence there.
Oh, gave one back too, just
Yep.
to keep everyone square.
Yeah, that's 1-1.
Let's play on.
We've got that's Chris Amakia cleaning up again for the Pasifika women's side.
Yeah, she's done that really effectively today, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's they've turned the ball over and they've got numbers.
Unfortunately there for another turnover, a double turnover for the...
Yeah, that's been the difference. Like you said on that last attack, it's that pass that's been letting one team convert and one team not, unfortunately today. And the Pasifika women through this last 5 minutes will want to make sure that they continue that and they build. And this New Zealand Maori team are going to want to tidy that up as much as possible. And they've got option coming forward. There's some numbers here if they can find them.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Brad, as the New Zealand Maori Wahine there turn over the ball deep in their defensive area, they still had good connection. Their midfield was still connected and they looked good, and they just probably needed to shift the ball a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's that's a phenomenal play in the middle of the field there to stick, stop, and overhead right in your reach inside 5 metres. That's ball forward there by Lulu Tuilatalava. Has actually hit the foot of the umpire there, so it is play on.
Yeah, the game's got it all, doesn't it, at the moment? This is the score especially.
Pasifika women will continue forward with the ball here. There's just under 4 to play. They're not going to take the foot off the throat here for the last 5 minutes, are they, Tama?
No, but certainly time is part of the consideration, isn't it? It does create its own pressure for depending on which side of the ledger you're on. So it's good to see here the New Zealand Maori Wahine there going to a 3 at the back, so just create some more bodies forward.
Yeah, they're gonna have to throw some real caution to the wind if they're to get back to even here. It's just 4 minutes to play. Pasifika women have managed this quarter really well. They've continued to go forward when they've had numbers and consolidated it back when they haven't.
Yeah, the ball's really been in their front three quarters, hasn't it, really? They haven't been too troubled defensively in this quarter, unfortunately, for the New Zealand Maori Wahine.
No, and when it has got down there, it's the likes of the Val sisters and Kai Elliott and certainly Carissa Makia who have done a fantastic job in tidying it up and not stressing too much. But here is Taylor Weatherly, tackled by that is Carissa Makia again. We might be able to pull a highlights package of all of Carissa Makia's defensive work.
Oh, I'd love to see a defensive highlight package. Too often we see the strikers and the glory up in the attacking circle. So yeah, well, let's throw a defensive one together.
Yeah.
That'll be really good to see.
Yeah, if you're a young player out there watching along and thinking, well, how can I improve my defence? What do I need to be doing? What does it need to look like? That.
Yeah.
Take a look at some of the work that Carissa Makia has done in this game in her clean-up defence as well as her standard positioning is very, very good. There's a little 2-on-1 option here. This is the Pasifika women's side. Goalies come out of the cage.
Brody's showing some good footwork and stick work there as a goalie.
Yep. Pretty tough to stay that calm under all of that pressure, but she's done well. It is going to retain possession with the Pasifika team. Lulu just dribbling her way into a Māori women's stick here.
It's a good ball.
Great open transfer.
Players
Try
in
and use
motion.
speed.
Oh, yep, unfortunately there. Leg getting in the way. That was an option.
Yeah, as a defender, you don't mind that.
No,
You're
no,
trailing back.
I'm aiming for that personally. Yeah, well, I've got a lot of body to put in front of myself. So
Yeah, it's that final bit of icing that I'm sure Tina Balkaki will be talking a lot about over the next 12 to 16 hours with her team before they're back here again tomorrow for what's going to be a very important game for them if they want to look to pick up the spoils again.
the
After
team's
their
still working really hard, which is still pleasing. I'm sure from the team's point of view. You know, they're while the score is what it is, the players are certainly putting the effort in. There's those high strikers there were really working hard to be an option ahead. So I mean that's at least some of the positive out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately for any coach, there's no question on effort here. It's little execution things.
Using
This is
the
a great
chance.
pass in.
Yep, they got one. There
And
we
that
go.
will do one. It's going to be a sprint race with the clock here. They'll like that. That was that's where the execution does come off. Like I said, they've had plenty of opportunity and they've got people that can do it up there. As we do just see the replay, it was a midfield turnover and a nice ball across the midfield on a 45 here. That does just find their striker. They're going to have to go at it here. There's probably 40 seconds or so.
Yeah, this will be a great last 35 seconds, that's for sure.
And they've won the ball. This is where the old calf cramp comes in.
Hopefully not game one. Maybe for you and me, Brad.
Yeah, they're still coming forward with the ball, the Pasifika team. This is exactly how you manage that, is continue going forward.
6. Can he come up with something? Is he going to make it to circle? Find somebody circle.
Oh, here it is. Oh, let's see what the what's gets called here. I think that was within
Wow.
time, so that levels it up.
Wow, we will go to replay of that. That could be one of the most phenomenal finishes we've seen.
Yeah, look, that's playing the clock, isn't it? It's
That's
to the
going right
second.
to the last minute, last second here. Ball forward, Ruby Jane Meehan. Taylor Weatherly finds an option going forward, and it's a little bit out of desperation, but
Yeah, nice.
I would say that is a goal, and we are 2-2 here
You're a stick. Oh,
between the New Zealand Maori Wahine and the New Zealand Pasifika women.
Yeah, I mean that's what we've sort of talked about. That there's always been the ability there from the New Zealand Maori Wahine that if they can crisp up some of the execution and around that attacking circle, then they've certainly got the opportunity to get those goals, and then we've just seen it then.
That's it, and you said it only a couple of minutes ago. There's no doubting the effort. They're all trying their absolute hardest. It was just small execution things that didn't quite fall their way, and you also mentioned once one did go that there was an opportunity for a second, and that is an outstanding, well, not quite a finish. We will be going to a shootout for this game. No games finish in a draw here, so we will be going to a penalty shootout between the New Zealand Māori Wahine and the New Zealand Pasifika women. So teams are just preparing for their shootouts. We will take a quick look at some of the highlights from the fourth quarter. This is a incredible last couple of minutes of a game here. Pasifika women doing everything right for 15 minutes of that quarter. And as you see here, that was the penalty corner they earned a little earlier in the quarter. Did just fall a little clunky out of an option here. And we did talk about it, Tom, at the dreaded 2-0.
Yep, absolutely.
Which way a 2-0 can go, and it was very late in the quarter, and the Māori Wahine team continued with effort, and I think that'll be the most pleasing thing for Tina Balkake, is that the effort didn't stop. With 4 minutes to go, down 2-0, the effort was still there. And this may be a telling part of the game. Could have been a third. Overturned for dangerous play, which I think was the correct decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the right call, without question. And I think that's just this is a great example of what hockey can be. It's a very fast game, and it can turn on its head in a matter of minutes, literally. So you just can't rest on your laurels or sit back, and certainly not suggesting that the Pasifika team did. But they've just shown a lot of control for most parts of this game, and yet we're sitting here in a shootout. So this is what can happen.
And this is the first goal here, which was a lovely 45 ball into reverse stick shot, which did find its way into the goal there for the Māori Wahine team. And with less than 10 seconds on the clock here, we get a ball going forward to Taylor Weatherly. She finds the ball going forward into the goal, which was right on the end hooter, but it is a goal. It is 2-2, and we will be going to penalty shootouts.
Yeah, not often you see the buzzer beaters so much in hockey, to be fair, but when it happens, it's just pretty exciting, and obviously to draw level, it's an exciting time. So we'll get to see how they both teams perform in the shootouts, and a lot of pressure on individuals in these sort of scenarios.
Yeah, as we see the two captains out there, Oriwa Hepi and Chris Samakia, just going through the final preparations of who's doing what and who's going first for the penalty shootouts. For those of you perhaps not familiar here, an attacker will have 8 seconds to progress the ball from the 25-yard line up into the attacking circle and attempt to score a goal. There's no limit on the number of shots or how many opportunities they have to score the goal. It's just an 8-second clock, or until the ball is either out of bounds, so over the baseline, or in the goal, or an infringement has been awarded, so a free hit either way. It's fast, it's furious, similar to an ice hockey style shootout. We're gone are the days of standing on the penalty stroke spot and just pushing it into the corner as hard as you can. A lot more exciting, but we will see a penalty shootout here. Māori women will take first. Yeah, well smothered there by the goalkeeper for the Pasifika women's side. That is Jada Pafo in goal for the team. Well smothered, not able to get a second shot away, and the Pasifika women will take their opportunity through Tiana Curry, who played for the Māori women last year.
Right, she reached and got it in the end.
Yeah, that's a fantastic finish. I thought young Brody Cochrane had done enough there to get the ball away from Tiana Curry, but an outstretched finish will put the Pasifika women up 1-0 in the penalty shootout. Those two have actually played a fair bit of hockey together and against each other through age group stuff right through coming up together in Northland, but it will be the Māori woman looking to answer here through Ruby J. Meehan. And just wide of the post there. She did enough to drag the goalie out of line, but the reverse stick shot just missing on the outside post there for Māori women. Pasifika women stay up 1-0 in the shootout. And it will be the Pasifika team here with an opportunity to go up 2. So what you see there from the umpire is the call of a retake. So it's been judged there that the goalkeeper did in fact infringe on the attacking player, but not severe enough to award a penalty stroke. A general free hit, which does constitute a retake for and it's a little messy, but it goes in and it's worth the same as one that's not, and that is 2-0 in the shootout for the Pasifika women. And it will be Grayson Keys Kumiroa up for the Māori women's team. It's not quite over, but they're going to need to score one here pretty quickly to stay in touch with the Pasifika team.
Well, they've done it once, maybe they can do it twice.
Yeah, well done.
Really unfortunate there the first time round. a pretty bad stick challenge from the goalkeeper on the initial carry and hit the post, did Grayson Keys-Kumiro, but the original stick challenge deemed poor enough to be a penalty stroke by the umpire there, so Keys-Kumiro will get a good old-fashioned stroke.
But don't you think that if she still got the ball afterwards, then it's fine? I guess so.
And saved there by the goalkeeper for Pasifika Women's. That is Jada Parfo doing a fantastic job in goal. It is 2-0 in the shootout for 4-2 game score. And this one here could do it.
Here we go. We got our junior black stick.
Yeah, again, just past the post. She'd done well to move the goalkeeper, and Brodie Cochrane stayed on her feet well, but it has just sailed past the post. Now for the first miss for the Pasifika women's side, they stay up 2-0 in the shootout and 4-2 on the game score. It is Marika Leonard here for the Maori women's team. That shot's well saved. And that will be enough there for the Pasifika women's team to, despite the late heroics and late scare in the game there, Tama, enough to come away with the penalty shootout win for their troubles. Fantastic work in goal there from Jada Parfo for the New Zealand Pasifika team, facing 4 penalty shootouts and not conceding one. And some pretty good execution from a couple of the Pasifika women's players in their attack as well. But that's a game that, like you mentioned, has it all. We had hit the post, we had hit the umpire's foot, we had goal disallowed, we had a shootout, we had a stroke, and if you're not down here, and we had a buzzer beater. If you're not down here at Colmar Sports Centre in Papatoetoe, I highly recommend you get down here because we have 4 more days of action, which will be just as exciting as that was. Now, it's a big game in the scheme of things. I think both these teams will want to be there for the gold medal match, obviously, come Monday, and both certainly have the ability to do it. The Pasifika women's team will be pleased with their... they would have wanted to get there in regular time, but they'll be pleased to have got there in the end as we see a couple of these penalty shootout highlights. That first one, of course, by Tiana Curry, which was very impressive finish after an initial save. The Māori women's team, they will be incredibly proud and stoked with how they managed to fight back in the last couple of minutes of that game, and you know, those signs are certainly positives moving forward into their game tomorrow. But both teams showing really good signs. Tama.
Yeah, I think, like you say, just the period. I think both teams will have a little bit of confidence. You know, like you say, the Pacifica team for controlling a fair period of their game, and obviously subsequently coming out on top at the end. But certainly the New Zealand Māori Wahine as well also will be buoyed, as you say, by being able to sort of hang in there and come back at the end and compete. So both teams will have enough to work on moving forward for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, and the you know, we mentioned it a few times in the call. The fortunate thing is neither of the coaches will be disappointed in the effort from their teams. You know, they both played a very tough, very fast-paced physical game, and it's just small things like execution either way that played parts in that game. As you see the teams go through their handshakes, it's been an absolute ripper of a game. I will be joined shortly by the captains of the teams. I am joined here by one of the captains of the New Zealand Māori women's team, Jazz McQuinn. Jazz, it was a nail biter. It was probably 68 minutes of something you didn't like a whole bunch, and 2 minutes of perhaps you did. How was that?
It was interesting, I have to say. We came out firing at the first 5 minutes, and then we let them back in, and they actually dominated for a while there. But never give up. So we pushed through and got that nail biter in the end. So hey, we're happy with the draw. Yeah,
it was a game that had everything. There were periods where you guys were attack. There were periods where it looked like you couldn't find a way out of the back end. It was, you know, the game had it all. We had penalty corners, we had disallowed goals, we had shootout, stroke, the whole 9 yards. But how tough is that to go out there with pretty limited preparation and put in a overtime performance like that?
Pretty tough. This is the first time we've all got together, so it's always interesting to figure out how each person plays and try and put something magical together. So some pieces of play were pretty ugly, but then others were brilliant. So you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and it's something Tama and I mentioned on the commentary is it was never through lack of effort. Both teams, right till the last seconds, obviously were still trying little things like execution, and that happens first games in tournaments. But what were the messages coming through from Tina, especially going into that last, I guess, quarter, on sticking to process and making sure that execution was happening?
So pretty much she said to us it's their game to lose. They were up 2-0 and we had to claw our way to get a goal in, and it did. And then in the last minute we composure, pass the ball, play with each other, run and run some more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's great to see you back involved in this this group. Obviously, a few of the girls were in the team that won the tournament last year, and they'll be buoyed by your presence being back in the team. How do you see some of these younger players and taking them, I guess, as a bit of a mentor role in your experiences? How does that look for you in the growth of Māori hockey?
Well, obviously I'm at the back, so I'm just here to guide. That's pretty much my job. All the girls are talented, so it's just guiding them when to pass the ball, when to hold the ball, and also just show your natural flair. I'm not here to stop anything, I'm here to support you.
Awesome. It was a fantastic game. Well done for keeping us on the edge of our seats, getting us some free shootout viewing for the first day of tournament. Obviously, good luck for your game tomorrow. It's going to be a tough one to get back up for in the morning, but we wish you all the very best and hope tomorrow goes as best as possible.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jess. So we have just wrapped up the second game of the Heritage Hockey Tournament between the New Zealand Pasifika women and the New Zealand Maori women. It was late minute heroics by the Maori women that brought us back to 2-2 in the dying stages of the game, but the Pasifika women in the end well enough to put it away in a penalty shootout in a game that had absolutely everything. If you were here at Kolmar Sports Centre in Papatoetoe, fortunate to have seen such an excellent game of hockey on day one. And speaking with one of the Māori captains, Jazz McQuinn, they were relentless right to the last whistle, and they'll be looking to continue their improvement in tomorrow's game. Unfortunately, I am also joined now by the captain of the Pasifika women's side, Carissa Makia. Carissa, how was that?
It was a bit too exciting for my liking.
Yeah, I can imagine you traditionally playing, I guess, sort of midfield defender. You like the action to be at the other end of the field for as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely like it on our attacking half, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think you guys played for what you'd like to think is 3 quarters, probably more than 3 quarters, a very, very good game. There's a couple of little opportunistic moments for the Māori team there that got them back in, but you'll be pleased to win the shootout and take the points from the game. But it's such an improved look and it's such an improved performance from last year's team.
Oh, definitely, for sure. We only had 1 guest player this year compared to it was flipped on the other side last year. So yeah, we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was something I mentioned with Tama, is not having to rely so heavily on guest players, which means we're spreading in the Pasifika community and more people are either understanding or knowing about their culture and their heritage and being involved, which is awesome. That game there was fantastic. It was awesome to see players like Rhiannon back in the fold and playing. Obviously Lulu does Lulu things, and that's fantastic. We've got the Val sisters. It's an exciting group of players, and you've got some young ones out there, which is cool too. How do you see those younger ones taking the next step to being leaders in the Pasifika team? Yeah,
definitely. It's great having Lulu around and for her to lead by example in there. So the young ones definitely look up to players like Lou, and for her to just show them as much as telling them what to do as well. It's handy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's players out there that lead by example, which is fantastic. Now, you'll have a big match tomorrow. It's a quick turnaround, so you guys will, I assume, want to be getting into colds and ice and as quickly as possible, getting into some recovery, because it's going to be a long weekend. It's going to stay hot like this. We wish you all the very best for tomorrow's game and the rest of the week.
Awesome.
Hopefully we can just end the game at the end of the game and not have to go through all the extra bits, but well done. You played fantastic, and good luck for the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Cool as. Alrighty, that is last final action from the second game of the New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament between the New Zealand Pasifika women and the New Zealand Maori wahine. Game went to a penalty shootout after some late game heroics by the New Zealand Maori women's team, but it was the Pasifika team taking points from the game through a shootout win in a fantastic game to open our tournament. Coming up next, we do have the first men's game of the tournament between the defending champion New Zealand Indian men and the New Zealand Heritage Barbarians. We'll be back here live with you at 2 o'clock. Done.